Where does your favorite team's quarterback and coach combination rank entering the 2020 NFL season? In this video, I rank every quarterback coach combo in the NFL entering the 2020 NFL season from the worst to the best, from number 32 to number 1. We all know that winning matters most when it comes to the combination of a coach and a quarterback. Everybody looks at the rings. Everybody looks at the playoff victories, how successful and consistent this combination can be. But there are other factors that also are a part of a successful duo. The first being, do they complement each other well? A big reason that Brady and Belichick worked is because they complemented each other very well. In terms of personality, in terms of talent and scheme, are things that are huge when talking about a relationship between a coach and a quarterback. Sustained success within winning is a major factor. Some combos can go 1 or 2 seasons winning in the NFL, but can they do it for 3 to 5 seasons? More than 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons? Can they do it for 10 seasons? That's a major factor as well. And I believe maybe the one that is the most overlooked is hiding deficiencies. Hiding the deficiency of the quarterback if you're the coach, and hiding the deficiency of the coach if you're the quarterback. That is also part of complementing your partner in the NFL. These are the rankings, my rankings, for every coach and quarterback combo in the NFL. Before I give you those rankings, make sure that you do spike the like button, subscribe to The Bottom Line View for more NFL videos just like this, and comment below your opinion on where you believe your team's coach and quarterback combo belongs from number 32 to number 1. The worst coach-quarterback combination entering the 2020 NFL season, in my opinion, is Gardner Minshew and Doug Marrone of the Jacksonville Jags. Simply, they are the worst because I don't see it working this season, ultimately resulting in Doug Marrone losing his job and more than likely Gardner Minshew losing his job. While I do feel like Minshew has actually allowed Marrone to stick around for one more season because he did play well as a late round draft pick last season in 2019. Marrone has just disappointed me all around. I just don't know what this guy brings to the table. He's supposed to be an offensive line expert. His offensive line hasn't been good in seasons. He has not been good at controlling personalities, getting the best out of some very talented players, and the only season of success, 2017, he was carried by one of the best defenses in NFL history. I don't think this is much to do with Minshew, who I think has a bit of potential here, has some charisma. I think he can lead a team at quarterback, and I'm intrigued to see if he can even break and shatter expectations in 2020. It's more to do with Marrone and just the fact that I don't think he's a very good coach, and I don't think he brings anything to Minshew that's helping Minshew perform as a quarterback in 2020. At number 31, Teddy Bridgewater and Matt RHULE in Carolina, a new combination in Carolina, taking over for Ron Rivera and Cam Newton. That combo was one of the best during the 2010s. It's going to be difficult to follow that up. But with RHULE, he's been known to kind of take an organization from the ground and bring it back to the promised land, to reshape it, recraft it, and work it the way that he wants it to work to be successful. And then you look at Teddy Bridgewater, who, Matt RHULE specifically, they got this guy, Teddy Bridgewater, because they know he can be a leader among men. He can lead a football team. He's had success in the NFL winning football games. While it's not been the sexiest out there in the league, Teddy is a proven winner in this league for multiple teams, organizations within multiple offenses with multiple team structures. What Matt RHULE and this Panther organization sees in Bridgewater is a guy that's very well liked and is going to be a good teammate and face of the franchise, at least for the early years of this new Panther regime. I'm very intrigued to see how RHULE goes through the bumps in the road while Teddy is trying to prove himself to be that starter in the NFL now that he's been given this second chance. It's going to be very interesting to watch. I'm not sure if it will work, but I do believe in both of these guys as human beings and as personalities and as leaders. So I'm hoping it works. At number 30, Dwayne Haskins and Ron Rivera. I just spoke of Ron Rivera and his relationship with Cam Newton, how successful it was early on in Carolina. Dwayne Haskins, it's very strange to be talking about a second-year quarterback potentially in a prove-it year, but that does seem to be the case with Dwayne Haskins. I don't think they really had the intention, Ron Rivera and his staff, of replacing Haskins this offseason, but there were plenty of rumblings of that potentially happening throughout the offseason. I think Haskins needed to go out there this year, even if the team isn't super successful, and just ball out and just show that he has the talent to be a legit starting NFL quarterback and face of the franchise. And for Rivera, he has a totally different task. He needs to absolutely change this culture, and that is something that's going to be very challenging from his perspective, because Washington, now coined the Washington football team, is just in a very difficult position, and I feel bad for Rivera in certain aspects and ways. If Haskins can really be that quarterback, then Rivera will have some help along the line, and we'll actually see this combo grow, this relationship grow before our eyes. At number 29, Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor in Cincinnati. Now, this is a combination that's very young, very unproven, first overall pick, one of the youngest coaches in the NFL, an offensive mind in Taylor, a combo that could very well become one of the better ones in the league, or it could end before it started. I mean, with Taylor, this is a guy that needs to prove this year that he is the guy that is going to take most advantage of what Joe Burrow offers. I don't think this is a Marvin Lewis situation in Cincinnati where they're going to allow this guy, this coach, to have multiple seasons with a young quarterback and just to ride it out. I think they're going to try and find the coach, whether that's Taylor or not, that best suits Mr. Burrow. And if Taylor doesn't get the best out of Burrow right now in 2020 and maybe 2021, he's going to be see you later, and they're going to find somebody else. But I am hopeful for Taylor because, like I said in my coach rankings, I really don't know what this young coach is made of yet. We saw him with a terrible, undermanned roster a year ago, a team that was rebuilding. Now he has his quarterback. He has a better roster. I think if he can make the most of especially the offense, that is his expertise, then we'll have a promising combo for the future. At number 28, Daniel Jones and Joe Judge. Judge Jones, the J's, double J. Jeff Jarrett, Judge Jones. This combination in New York, I think, is the combination that will be the best we've seen since Eli and Coughlin. I'm going to go out bold here because I think what we have in Judge is a coach that's very similar to Coughlin. He is going to be detailed. He is going to be tough. I think there's a reason that just for a special teams coordinator and a guy that really wasn't known across NFL circles at a high level was hired for New York, because he has these similar traits that brought them Super Bowls during the 2000s. I feel he is from that Parcells tree, with being a part of Saban's staffs and being a part of Belichick's staffs. The Giants really like that aspect to him, and I think he's going to bring an edge on special teams. He's going to bring an edge in toughness every week for the G-Men, and that is what New York is about. And when you're talking about Daniel Jones, does there get a tougher quarterback than Daniel Jones? I mean, this guy just stays in the pocket until he can make a play. Whether that's good or bad, that is a quarterback that you want leading your team because he is going to take the hit to make the play. And I absolutely love the future for Jones and Judge. At number 27, Nick Foles and Matt Nagy. Now, this is probably more of a one-year relationship here. It's a short-term relationship. Foles already understanding aspects to this offense is going to allow them to click early on. They're not going to have to go through much of a kind of proving ground, or they're not going to have to catch up like other combinations will. But I do question, okay, is Nick Foles still even the guy he was just a couple years ago when he won the Super Bowl? I don't think he is. What we saw from him in Jacksonville, that just didn't look like the same quarterback. And he just doesn't seem to be a guy that you want as your starter. If it's Mitchell Trubisky, I think this combination would rank much lower because not only is Trubisky a worse quarterback, but he is also just simply not in good terms with Matt Nagy. I don't think Nagy likes Trubisky one bit. And that is where I question Nagy. I don't think this guy is actually made out to be a very successful head coach because he just doesn't seem to have the demeanor or attitude. And I don't mean to nag on Nagy, but it just seems like he has been negative Nancy with his quarterback situation since he landed the job. So while he may bring some creative schemes to the table, he might not be cut out to be the Bears head coach after all. When after season 1, he looked to be fantastic. I'm not exactly sold, and I'm not exactly sold on this combo. Sorry. At number 26, Anthony Lynn and Justin Herbert. I'm siding with the young kid here. Tyrod Taylor is probably going to be the starter for the season, but this is a long-term relationship, so I went with that one instead of the short-term relationship with Tyrod and Lynn. But let's just briefly talk about that combo. So Lynn, Taylor, they were very successful in Buffalo when Lynn was the offensive coordinator. I think from a scheme perspective, Lynn will get the best out of what Taylor offers. I'm just not sure if Taylor is the same quarterback he was when he led the Bills to the playoffs a couple seasons ago. Now, with Herbert, I actually think Herbert, if they were to start him from week 1, would actually give them a better opportunity to win this year. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I just think Herbert is simply more talented than Taylor at this point in his career. Now, he won't have the same chemistry with the playbook, familiarity with the scheme, and it might take some time there. We'll have to see how training camp goes. But I do think starting Herbert would actually allow you a quarterback that probably makes more plays with his arm as a passer than what we would see with Tyrod. I think Herbert's a solid prospect. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I think he is an underrated, under-the-radar athlete that I think actually does pair very well with what Anthony Lynn wants to do at the quarterback position. It's kind of a tough situation right now in 2020. You go with the veteran. You don't put the rookie through the tough process, but you have to wonder if that rookie would actually give you a better opportunity to win this year. At number 25, Tua and Brian Flores. I feel like this combination may strike you as a little high on this list because we've never seen them at work yet. It's mostly due to how much faith I have in Brian Flores as a coach. Everybody talks glowingly about Brian Flores as a coach, from the media to his players to former coaches that have worked with him, everybody. And then you talk about Tua, who is coming in with a chip on his shoulder from the first round, trying to prove people wrong. And while he might not be the starter right away in Miami, again, just like Herbert and Lynn, this is a long-term relationship. I think Flores and Tua might be this combo in Miami for many years to come because I already know the coach is in place and they love him. It's just a matter of, can Tua live up to expectation? And if he does, this could be one of the best combos in the league for a long time. At number 24, Sam Darnold and Adam Gase. Yes, you might say, whoa, I don't like Adam Gase at all. He sucks. But I have to say this, okay? They were a winning combo last year. Like, I gotta give them some sort of credit for going 7-6 when Darnold was healthy and didn't have mono in 2019. So for that fact, even though Gase might seem a little uncharismatic, may seem a little goofy, you might not like him much, and Darnold has yet to prove himself to break out, I think this combo in 2019, above 500. So I gotta give him that respect. At number 23, Drew Lock and Vic Fangio. This combination I really like. When I talk about hiding deficiencies and when I talk about complementing, I think this combo is one of the newer combos that actually works for me the most. When you look at Fangio, he is a defensive coach, but when you look at Lock, he's a guy that often pairs with the type of defensive coach. Like, he is going to work off play action. He has the big arm to strike down the field. He is the type of quarterback that perfectly matches the skill set of what a defensive coach is looking for. A guy that can create the big play physically and not have to be a guy that's always passing the ball. They can win games through their defense, and then Locke can make plays with his physical ability when the Broncos need him to do so. I've seen many successful combos like this in the past, even within Denver's organization. I feel like this is actually a really good combo. The question I have about it is, okay, Locke's young, Fangio's getting up there. He's not really a long-term solution at coach. He's probably a 5-year window max. So we'll have to see how that works in the short term. If it can work in the short term and maximize it, then I love it. At number 22, Baker Mayfield and Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland. Now, Stefanski is a new coach. Mayfield is in year 3, where he's having to prove his worth as the first overall pick just a couple seasons ago after a really rough number 2 sophomore year. But what I like about this combination is that instead of Freddie Kitchens, it's going to actually benefit Baker Mayfield. I think Stefanski is going to put Mayfield in many positive situations as a thrower, and it's going to help Mayfield become a more confident quarterback. It's going to allow him easier throws, easier reads, and it's actually going to put an emphasis on what Baker does well, from allowing him to make plays outside of the pocket, putting him in better play action situations, and just utilizing the skill players, a lot of skill players around him, to make Mayfield a better quarterback. Then once Mayfield realizes, okay, I can really do this, that's when this combination may take off, because I do think Baker's at a fragile point in his career where he needs to realize that he can still be a big-time guy. And once he does that and Stefanski gives him that boost of confidence, then we could see this combo really lift off. At number 21, Matthew Stafford and Matt Patricia in Detroit. This combo is one of the more intriguing ones in 2020. Reason being is that one or both could be gone after this season. There's been rumblings, of course, of Patricia. This is last year if he doesn't succeed. And he's had a lot of rough moments from the media, people just not liking him. Stories have not been positive. They've more often than not been negative. When you look at Matthew Stafford, he's been the quarterback, the franchise, the guy for Detroit for so long that if a new coach were to come in, I think it would be his last moment as their franchise quarterback, and he'd probably be moving on somewhere else to a team that needs a veteran quarterback to go on to try and win a Super Bowl, because everyone knows Stafford is very talented. It's just the situation he's been put in Detroit has not exactly worked out, because let's be honest, the Lions have not always been the best franchise in the front office from ownership, and that has not allowed Stafford to succeed to his highest potential. Now, maybe Patricia makes it work this year. Maybe they finally have the roster that can fulfill what he wants to do from an offensive and defensive scheme perspective. It's about complementary football for these New England guys, and Patricia certainly thinks that way. And I think early on in this relationship, there was rough moments because Stafford was doing something that he never had to do before. He had to change his style. They changed the way they played. They tried to work through their running game more. It didn't exactly work, but Patricia was trying to change the culture, trying to change the offense with that and the way the team was trying to win football games. And in year 1, it didn't work. In year 2, we were starting to see it work until Stafford went down. And now in year 3, I think it is going to shine. That is my prediction. But if it doesn't, this very well could only be a 2020 relationship. At number 20, in Las Vegas, is CARR and GRUDEN. Derek Carr, John Gruden. This combo has had 2 years to feel each other out and find out what they're each about and if it works. And so far, we don't have the answer. I really don't know. Yes, it was better in year 2, but there's still this talk of Carr not being Gruden's kind of guy. And I do wonder if that's going to end this relationship prematurely and not get the absolute potential that it could have within it. Maybe Carr moves on to a different team. But Gruden is very specific when it comes to the quarterback position. He always has been. And especially when it comes to personality. And that's why I question if Carr and Gruden right now is working. Because I don't think it's a talent thing. I think Carr has talent. I would actually say he's one of the more talented quarterbacks Gruden has ever worked with being a head coach. But the wins need to be there sooner rather than later. And I think 2020, 2021, if they do not have 9-10 wins this year, I think Carr's gone this offseason. Because I think in 2021 is where they truly want to take off as a team. I think they'll still have the offseason to add some talent and be able to take this team to contender status. But if Gruden doesn't see in Carr what he wants to see and see a quarterback that he believes he can win the Super Bowl with, then he's going to move on this offseason. Mayock's going to move on this offseason because we know Gruden and Mayock are stuck there. It's not going to be Carr that lasts throughout this relationship. So that's why I have them at 20. I do think that last year we saw Gruden maximize Carr in terms of their offense. Now he's added a bit of weapons around him. Now let's see if Carr can take that next step. It's intriguing for sure. At number 19, Matt Ryan and Dan Quinn. This is a relationship, a combo that we've seen reach the heights of appearing in a Super Bowl and nearly grasping the ring. But Tom Brady and Bill Belichick said, no, sir, 28-3, I'll take that from you, sir. And I think they're paying for it right now. I mean, I don't think Matt Ryan's going anywhere. He's going to retire an Atlanta Falcon, in my opinion. But when it comes to the coach, Dan Quinn is going to be gone if this doesn't happen this year. There were rumblings of him losing his job last year. So what's going to happen if in a tough division versus the Saints and Tampa with Tom now, and Carolina's not really in the picture, but you get what I'm saying. If they do not work it out early and they do not start off strong and they do not show promise, if they do not get back to the playoffs or somewhat close, I think Quinn is going to be without a job as a head coach, at least in Atlanta, and be looking for probably a defensive coordinator job somewhere else. To me, this is a combination that's never quite worked from a complementary standpoint. Yes, Quinn is a defensive guy, and yes, Ryan is an offensive guy, so they hide each other's deficiencies in a way. But I don't think Quinn's ever been able to, other than when having Kyle Shanahan, maximize Julio and maximize Matt Ryan and maximize the talent they've had on offense. And that's kind of the sad point, because I think Matt Ryan's been a really good quarterback, but he hasn't been able to always win with a consistency because I don't think the coaching has been at an A tier. At number 18, Philip Rivers and Frank Reich. This relationship is kind of awesome to me in a storybook way. Philip Rivers left the Chargers. Frank Reich left the Chargers, found his way onto the Eagles, was awesome on the Eagles, got a head coaching job in Indianapolis after Josh McDaniels refused to be the head coach. Then they find their way back to each other in an offensive coordinator-coach combination. And now Frank Reich is the head coach. This is kind of storybook. And I ultimately am wondering, is this storybook going to end in a Super Bowl run of some sort? And that could happen in 2020 with a very talented roster and team around these two as a combination. I think it's awesome because we rarely see a coach and an offensive coordinator now as a head coach and quarterback combination on different teams entirely. And they actually have that chemistry of working together and having that working relationship that I think is going to benefit them entering this year because of this offseason. And I'm really interested to see if Rivers can be rejuvenated under the coordinator, the coach that got the best out of him in his prime years with the Chargers. At number 17, perhaps the best young combination on the rise, that is Kyler and Cliff, the K's. Kyler and Cliff, they are going to be ruling this league from an offensive perspective for many years to come, in my opinion. I was never really a big Cliff believer until I saw his offense take shape. And not just his offense take shape, but then his ability to adjust mid-season on the fly, go a new avenue while working within Kyler's confines. I really feel like this combo is going to be just exciting, electrifying, and fun. At number 16, Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur. I understand that this combination made it to the NFC Championship game, so I gave them the benefit of the doubt for that, and I boosted them for that. but this is a working relationship that could sour quickly given the rumors, given the draft, given the way that this relationship is unfolding. I feel like their peak has already passed and they're only going downhill. With RODGERS, his history with people and relationships, I'm not exactly sold that they're going to be back where they were a year ago. And if they are not, that doesn't look good for this combination. At number 15, Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy. Now, this is a new combination that ranks fairly high at number 15. Reason being, as we've seen Dak have success with below average coaching, to be nice, and Mike McCarthy has found success with a good quarterback in the past, multiple good quarterbacks, Hall of Fame quarterbacks, in Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and the like. So, that being said, I feel like McCarthy, being an offensive guy at his core, is going to come up fresh in 2020 after a year off of football with some new concepts, kind of reinvigorated to see what he can do from an offensive standpoint, and see this young stud in Dak who wants to prove himself on a contract year to absolutely put up fireworks. And these two, it's like a perfect chip on your shoulder situation where they both want to prove that they are still incredible, or in Dak's case, he is going to be even better in the future, and he's going to reach that level of upper echelon eliteness. And for McCarthy, he wants to prove that he was that genius that the Packers hired back in 2007. And it wasn't just Rodgers, it was him too. And I think with McCarthy, what he brings to Dak is now a guy that is just, I think, a better leader of a team than Jason Garrett. I think he's better at managing a team. I think he's better at managing personality. I think he's better at managing a game. I just think this combo is going to be much better than the one that was before it. And I think it's going to succeed. At number 14, Cousins and Zimmer in Minnesota. These two, they're not big personalities. They're not big talkers. They're not flamboyant. But what they have done in 2 seasons together has been fairly successful. I think I like this combination because they seem to understand each other. I think Cousins, from an offensive standpoint, has his ideas with what he wants to do and accomplish, and he's a very smart guy the way he approaches the game. Preparation is there. And then from Zimmer's perspective, he's one of the best defensive coaches in the league, defensive minds in the league. He's going to work on the defense. Cousins, as long as he has a decent relationship with the OC, they're going to work that out. And I feel like this is a combo with the talent of the quarterback and the two minds that have the same goal without going out there and really talking about much. And that's perfect for Minnesota. At number 13, Deshaun Watson and Bill O'Brien. This combination is one that I think gets a bad rap because of Bill O'Brien and some of the stories that have leaked out about him and Hopkins and players and all of that, and his GM-ship. He's not exactly been A-plus tier. But when it comes to getting the best out of each other, I feel like this combination has actually been fairly good in that regard, and I think it's going to get better, believe it or not. And this is why. I think Bill O'Brien is starting to realize what Deshaun Watson's greatest strengths have been. That is throwing the deep ball. That is his ability to extend the play. He moved on from Hopkins, his favorite target, but in a way that is beneficial to Watson and his game because he brought in Brandon Cooks. They have Will Fuller. They have Kenny Stills in part in a trade. And I feel like they did all of that to actually maximize the deep ball, the big play that Watson is so fantastic at. And I think bringing in like David Johnson, Duke Johnson, all of this is to craft an offense around Watson that gets the best out of Deshaun, even though on the surface, trading his favorite receiver doesn't seem to accomplish that. But I think it ultimately does. I also want to say that O'Brien has done a good job in the past of utilizing Watson as an athlete. And I think there's a reason they've been successful in the win column. And O'Brien has done a lot with not exactly great talent. Watson, the same thing. I think his magicianship oftentimes is also bailed out Bill O'Brien's poor decision-making during the game. But I think O'Brien is growing while Watson is growing, and that's promising to see as we enter 2020. At number 12, Josh Allen and Sean McDermott in Buffalo. Some people may say, whoa, This combo has only had one successful season. Why are they in the top 12? I think they're going to have many more successful seasons ahead of them. When you're talking about McDermott, he is one of the best, brightest defensive minds in the league. He's always going to prepare his defense unlike many others in the league, and it's season in, season out going to set up his quarterback for success, knowing that the quarterback can rely and lean on the defense when the offense isn't succeeding. As Allen grows, he continues to understand the game of football, decision making. That's going to help Allen having that good defense, knowing that he doesn't always have to force it. Something he learned in the wild card and in the playoffs last year. I think Allen going forward is going to be even better. They added more pieces around him offensively. And with McDermott, he came from Carolina, a place that had Cam Newton and Ron Rivera, a very similar relationship. Rivera, a defensive coach, tough, physical, like McDermott. Cam Newton, one of the best athletes at quarterback in the game. Josh Allen is the same, and they like to do similar things with Josh Allen. So just to me, feels like these two guys, great dudes, great talents, and I think it's going to be a match in Buffalo that is going to lead to a lot of success. Their most successful era since the Jim Kelly days. At number 11, Ryan Tannehill and Mike Vrabel. Again, you're probably going to say, whoa, this combo has not even played a season. They've been less than that. But hear me out. I think Tannehill and Vrabel are perfect for each other. I think this is a great relationship, and we saw it flourish last year. Tannehill is a quarterback that worked with subpar coaching for basically his entire career in an offense that did not suit what he did best. Now, in Tennessee, it's completely different. He is put in a position where he can get the best out of himself, and it's in a perfect offense for him with Arthur Smith calling the plays. He, as an athlete, can be utilized to his most potential, while Mike Vrabel is a guy that wants to be a tough team. He wants to be aggressive from a play calling perspective. And Tannehill is a guy that can make those big time throws, even if it's, hey, Tannehill, you're only going to throw 10 balls this game. You're only going to have 10 attempts this game. But you're going to have to complete 6 of them, and we'll win this game. Derrick Henry running the ball in New England, doing all that. Just make 2 big throws. And Tannehill is capable of doing that, hitting the big play down the field where he was one of the best last year, scrambling where he is silently one of the best. And I just think this is a really good combo that complements each other very well. At number 10, Jared Goff, Sean McVay, the Rams combination at coach and quarterback, extremely successful in their short careers thus far. Year 1, 11-5, they reached the playoffs. Year 2, Super Bowl appearance. And yes, in year 3, they didn't reach the playoffs. They were above 500 with a 9-7 record. I'm very intrigued to see what the future holds for this combination because I do feel it's been a little one-sided with Sean McVay. But they deserve the credit thus far, and that's why they're in the top 10. At number 9, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle Shanahan, the San Francisco 49ers combination. Talk about successful in a short period of time. In their first season, starting the season together, and Jimmy not going down with injury, they reached the Super Bowl. Really, that's fantastic. That's incredible. That's more than anyone ever asked. And still, despite all that success, people are still talking about, is Shanahan going to try and find a different quarterback? Whether that was Tom Brady or somebody else. Is Jimmy really the guy? Well, let them have a little bit more time together. I mean, this was really only Jimmy's first year as a starting quarterback for a full season. And we saw it immediately click with this combo early on when I believe they went 5-0 and Jimmy's first appearance in action for the 49ers. So to me, this combination is one of the young ones rising up the ranks. I do want to see if Jimmy can take that next step. And if he does, Kyle's already there. Kyle's already that offensive genius. If Jimmy can enter that top 10 area of quarterbacks, and we're talking about something potentially special for a long period of time in San Francisco. At number 8, Cam Newton and Bill Belichick. It's a new combo. It's one we've never seen. But yes, I'm bold on it. And that is because we are pairing simply one of the greatest athletes ever to play in the NFL with the best coach of all time. And I'm just extremely intrigued to see what this combination will be able to accomplish, even if it's only in one season. And yes, we have no track record of this working, but the benefit of the doubt belongs to Bill Belichick and the former MVP. Superman is coming to New England, and I'm just excited to see it and see how it works. And if there was ever a coach that could maximize the athlete of Cam Newton, it's the one in New England. At number 7, one spot above Belichick and Cam Newton, is Bruce Arians and Tom Brady. I think the underrated aspect of Brady arriving in Tampa is that he goes from one great coach to another great coach, but in a different way. Bruce Arians is and has been one of the best quarterback coaches, offensive coaches in football for a very long time. And he's going to set up Tom Brady in an offense and a situation that's really intriguing for Tom Brady in 2020 and potentially beyond. I believe that Brady's numbers are going to see a massive uptick because he's surrounded by great weapons, but also with an awesome offensive staff led by Bruce Arians. And then you talk about the combo of what Arians gets out of Brady and what Brady gets out of Arians, because these are two guys at the end of their careers. These are two guys that want to win now. They want to maximize this short window. Remember, Arians was retired a couple of years ago. He came back and saw the opportunity to sign the GOAT to Tampa Bay, and now the biggest, greatest opportunity he's ever had to win a Super Bowl, to potentially add that accomplishment to his resume that could get him into like the Hall of Fame. There is a lot to be earned here for Bruce Arians. And I think this combo is perfect for Brady at this point in his career, with a different environment, a different personality from Arians to Belichick, but also Arians and Brady having chips on their shoulder, trying to maximize this window. I think this is a great combination that I'd rank higher if I'd seen it before. At number 6, Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson. Now, the interesting part about this combination is that Peterson won the Super Bowl without Carson Wentz. But we have to remember that Peterson, with Wentz, was leading a team that had Wentz on track to win an MVP. They were the best team in the NFC, and I have no doubt that Wentz would have won the Super Bowl that year if he was the starting quarterback instead of Foles. But it never happened. So people are talking about how Wentz never won a playoff game. And that's fair. That's a question. I think they could do that this year or sometime soon. But this combination, I think, is excellent because we've seen this combination, despite talent that may be limited around them, have a lot of success in the NFL and be able to win a division and be able to overcome the odds. And that's something, when you're talking about a coach and a quarterback, that is very special. When you have a combination that can deliver when it's tough, that's a great combination. At number 5, Big Ben and Mike Tomlin. This combo's won a Super Bowl before, all the way back in 2008. But since then, they've had one of the steady relationships in the NFL that I think now, looking back on it, with all the drama that happened with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell and the teams of the past, I think I do give them slightly more credit than I did at that moment. But they've been very successful, very consistent. I think Tomlin manages the personalities very well. I think Ben maximizes the talent of the offensive players on the field, and the talent that he is at quarterback is outstanding. So I believe this is a great combination and probably one of the more underrated ones in the last 10 to 12 years. At number 4, Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh. The reason I have this combination above Ben and Tomlin is because of recent success. This combination in Harbaugh and Lamar has reached the playoffs 2 years in a row, while the Steelers have not reached the playoffs, even with Ben injured. I understand that. But the Ravens, I love this combo. Reason being is that Harbaugh saw the talent in Lamar. And he said, we're going to build a team around this guy. He is special. We're going to do everything we can to maximize him. And that is an extremely bold stroke that Harbaugh took, but it worked out. Lamar became MVP. And Lamar started to thank Harbaugh by making everyone else look a lot better. That is a great combination. A coach that sees the talent in the quarterback, and the quarterback that says to the coach, I got you. At number 3, Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. They went to 2 Super Bowls in 2013 and 2014, and it looked to be the only combo that could rival Brady and Bill. Since then, it hasn't quite been the same. But what I will say about this combination is they've been extremely consistent, winning, getting to the playoffs, just being a franchise that everyone models themselves after. And this relationship seems to be perfect. They seem to have similar, genuine personalities. And I will say this, they maximize very limited talent. Every year I look at the roster of the Seahawks and I say, there is no possible way Wilson and Carroll can get this roster to the playoffs, and they do it. At number 2, Sean Payton, Drew Brees in New Orleans with the Saints. When you're talking about an offensive combination, an offensive genius with a Hall of Fame quarterback, you do not see better numbers. Just look at the record book than Sean Payton and Drew Brees. To go along with that, they've been pretty consistent in the win column. They've won a Super Bowl. They've accomplished great heights in the playoffs. And they just continuously reinvent offense year after year after year and are trendsetters in the NFL. That's why they're at number 2. At number 1, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, the Super Bowl winning combination entering 2020 is the best in my opinion. And this is why. They maximize each other greater than anyone else in the league. Patrick Mahomes was always very talented. He was a great prospect. He was an interesting rookie with a ton of talent. And then he entered an Andy Reid offense. He became Patrick Mahomes, MVP, Super Bowl winning quarterback. On the flip side, Andy Reid was a great coach who always went to the playoffs, could work his offense with many quarterbacks and put up decent numbers. But then came Patrick Mahomes, and his numbers for his offense went through the roof. He won his Super Bowl. That is why they're the best combo. They maximize each other the absolute most. They are perfect for each other. The offensive read is perfect for Mahomes. Mahomes is the perfect quarterback for Andy Reid. Those are my rankings for every coach-quarterback combination in the NFL entering the 2020 season. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of my rankings. Gronk, spike the like button and subscribe to The Bottom Line View for more NFL rankings just like this. It's Mitch. Peace.